This is the Game Gestures Gaming Update Podcast, here with episode 24. So we just had Sony's State of Play, and we have a lot of other news, and pretty much the one thing everyone's hugely hyped about. We got Final Fantasy VII Remake. Finally, we got news about it. Finally coming into the light. So we're going to jump into this episode with some updates, some movies, and just a little bit. We don't have a whole lot of Final Fantasy. It was finally shown off, and they showed off a little trailer for it.
After 4 years, we finally have some more. Well, actually, we don't have a lot.
Yeah, we got a little bit.
4 years since the first. 4 years since what? The first, not the first reveal, but the first E3 dropping.
Yeah, and once it was scrapped, we finally got it. They did it. The contract that they took it on, they didn't do well. They were really goofing it up, and so they scrapped it. They dropped those people, and they couldn't use their work, so the entire project was thrown away. And then Square Enix now started over again on their own, and I think it's looking a lot better since they took it over themselves because they know what they're doing.
And for now, we are assuming it's still a PlayStation exclusive. That hasn't changed.
In a couple months, it is rumored to come to the Xbox after like maybe a year.
Yeah, exclusivity period.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure how they're going to do that because I know, yeah, I mean, that's going to be, Square might be wanting to push that to all the big ones, especially if Stadia takes off, then,
yeah,
that might be the ultimate. But what do you got on Final Fantasy VII as far as, I know they didn't show a lot in the trailer. I mean, they didn't really not show, but they didn't give us like all of the. They didn't give everything away yet because they said there's still more coming in June.
Yeah, well, so it looks like they're still
huge.
Now just working on Disc 1 content stuff. That they're still focusing, trying to get that. We've seen the same thing over and over. They had to redo it. Now we got them back to the point where they scrapped it again, all on Disc 1 in Midgar. And the battle concepts look kind of the same, going New Age RPG, where it's like the Kingdom Hearts kind of Final Fantasy 15 style hack and slash action. Which I guess that's the way a lot of people, old school gamers like myself, really like turn-based still, but all the new age gamers, they really like their action going in. They find turn-based a little slow. So
I think it depends on the game, honestly. Sometimes turn-based is really, that's the way to, especially I think for like something like Fire Emblem, completely different, but that's, the best way to go about that.
Whereas, look at Octopath. That did insanely well for turn-based as well.
And Octopath did amazing, and that's coming to PC I think next month, or June comes to PC.
That's probably when I'm gonna finally grab it and play it.
Yeah. No longer a Switch exclusive, so.
But let's switch away from here now. Unintended.
I got it. I don't always catch them, but yeah, okay. So what we got? What else we got? I mean, what are we going into here?
Yeah, we'll dive into your list here. Mine's small this week.
All right, so we'll start. I guess we'll start with what I got. We got some, of course. If you know me, and I know a lot of you, know me well. So if you know me, I'm a huge fan of the Friday the 13th games, and I'm probably like the only person in the world who still is.
That way.
Of course. But with that being said, there are some updates on some things related to Friday the 13th. One of them being the big one everybody wants to know about is the lawsuit that's going on. Now, there was a phone mediation the other day, which took place on the 7th of May. Unfortunately, they say no news is good news, but in this case, no news is pretty much
no news.
Not what we want to hear. The theory behind it is that there was nothing that came of the mediation. That basically the parties are. It's basically Sean Cunningham and is basically sticking to his guns. Saying that he they're trying to figure. It's all about the money, and they're trying to figure out how to divide. Victor Miller wants. Victor Miller, all he wanted was he just wanted to to get his rights to what he thought was his. But then since Sean Cunningham and his team took it to new levels beyond what Victor Miller even came up with, they think they're entitled to their money. So it's just still nothing came of it. Unfortunately, it's probably going to just like we talked about in the past. It's just going to drag on. The phone mediation was useless. So that's the update I have with that. game update wise, they fixed something that was very important. They one of the characters had a pancake booty, and they decided that that was a major fix. So
That does sound like a major fix item.
I mean, but no, they did it. They just patched an update this week. It gave Victoria more of a booty, and that was like one of their major assets. They allegedly fixed all the roof glitches that use Jason's trap, so you can't use, you used to be able to set a trap, and basically the only other thing from that is the Switch version will be coming out sooner than we think. That was their wording. So that's all I got for Friday, except next year, 40th anniversary of the beginning of the franchise. So
40 anniversary. I'm hoping something big.
I'm
Probably
hoping, it would be nice to see, since the lawsuit's not going to get settled, it would still be nice to see some sort of like major collector's Blu-ray, kind of thing with some sort of exclusives. But I'm not holding my breath for that either. But I didn't have a lot about Friday. I was hoping to have a lot more on the update, and I've been Googling, contacting people the last couple of days to try to see, bothering them, be like, what happened with the lawsuit? What happened with the mediation? And no one's like, I don't know, I'm not telling you. So
Yeah.
that's what happens when you contact the lawyers directly. Now I have a harassment suit. But no, moving from Friday over to Dead by Daylight, did you see that they accidentally leaked Ghostface from the Scream series on Xbox and PC? They were like pushing an update out, and they hit the button early, and then Ghostface was allegedly, visible in the game, and that was supposed to be a surprise.
Huh.
But
See, I've been waiting, and I've been watching the three main things: Jason, Ghostface, and Chucky. I've been waiting for to come to Dead by Daylight. They're the three that I was like, I know eventually they're gonna come, because we already have Leatherface, you have Freddy, you have
almost all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you have almost every one of them, so it's only a matter of time. But the thing that bothers me, not really bothers me, but the thing that I love how they're just I forgot who makes Dead by Daylight, so Behavior Interactive. I love how they were just like playing it off like, oh, this leak was not intentional. We did not want to spoil it. It's like you're full of it. That leak was totally intentional. Like, it was intentional. You're like, someone was like, oops, because that's gonna get people talking. When things accident, it's a common thing we're seeing of things like what was was the Ghost Recon, the new Ghost Recon trailer. I don't know if you saw that yet, but that leaked right before. That leaked like hours before, and then they were trying to pass it off as a world exclusive. And
yeah, it's hard to keep things secret though nowadays.
It really is. But that's all I got for those two. I don't know if you want to jump in with something you got here as far as
my main
before
things,
I move on to my.
I got we'll save the movies for last. I have just a small little thing, Until Dawn. Any Until Dawn fan that's still being pushed, there's only a few of them still pushing, but there's a few of us still out there asking about Until Dawn 2. And one of the developers finally came out and said, listen, we see even now, years later, we still get asked about when we're doing 2. So they're deciding how they want to do it. They don't really want to, they're talking about maybe they can take your save file and see like who survived, who died, and go that route. But it's way better if they just take a whole new character list, and maybe they can even take your save file still and do little things like maybe these people died, have a poster on the wall saying missing person, or have them tell a ghost story about, oh, well, this person died here a year ago, and do something like that if they want to take the save file over. But it would probably work out way better to have a whole new cast.
So, a whole new cast, so no more Hayden Panettiere, which will disappoint you.
They'll probably get someone new to replace her, like Taylor Swift.
Oh God, no! What about that chick from Game of Thrones who plays the character that everyone's gonna name their daughter after?
Arya Stark?
Yes.
She could be interesting for it.
She could be. I loved Until Dawn. I thought it was great. I'm not a huge fan of the whole the whole thing with what do you call that? The movie type game where you have the
Interactive movie.
yeah,
Interactive.
interactive is an interactive video game like that. Not because I usually like being able to control the gameplay a lot more
Yeah.
rather than. But for some reason, Until Dawn was like there was something that was like appealing about it to me that I was addicted to it. There was the one character in it that, spoiler alert for those who haven't played it, by the way, she was like I don't know, was she the French girl or the Asian girl? I can't remember what but she was the most annoying character in the game.
Probably the
And
Asian
then,
girl. She was. She was a
she
little.
was she was naggy and whiny, and then there was the whole. I remember the first time she died in the game, I was like, yes. And then it was all like it was all fake. It wasn't real because there was like that twist where
Well,
they.
part of it wasn't real. Other part of it was real.
But then the second time they died was the real one.
Yeah, only the one character though. Only the one character got a scapegoat.
You might be right. It's been a while since I played it, so
See, I still remember it. I played it several times. So it was Ashley in the beginning. I believe her name was Ashley. She got a scene where you believe she died, but she comes back in the end. And then she gets one more chance, and if she dies again, she's dead. But she does.
I was just happy that other chick she died because she was terrible. She was like abusive to her boyfriend. She was like slapping him all the time, and he just stood there and took it. It was like, okay, I'll be better.
See, she didn't die for me. I kept her alive.
You liked it. You sicko. Oh, so moving from Until Dawn, I have an interesting note of stuff that is not quite Until Dawn, but it is. We were talking on the last podcast about what were we talking about? We were talking about. Oh my God, what
It's
were
hard
we
to say.
talking?
We talked about a lot of things. I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
We were talking about the financials. There we go. I couldn't think of what I was trying to say. I was like, what have I tried to say? Yes, we were talking about the financials of, PlayStation and Nintendo and all of that. And while we were talking about that, we were talking about how, the Switch and everything and then the PS4 had all these amazing sales and all that. But one thing we didn't mention is, for some reason, in 2018, the Wii was still selling games. And the funny thing about that was it was not only selling games, it was outselling the same versions that were on the Wii U. So this is what's funny to me. In 2018, I mean, these numbers may not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but considering that it's a nearly 13-year-old console, and most of these games themselves are between 10 and 13, came out 10, 13 years ago. Mario Kart Wii selling 100,000 copies in 2018, as well as New Super Mario Bros. Wii selling 60,000, Super Smash Bros. Brawl selling 30,000, and Wii Sports selling 20,000. For the whole, compare that to the Wii U. The Wii U games of the same version didn't touch that. So
That's no surprise. Wii U, no one even, everyone, that counts. I can't even go into that one. So that's why they did well on the Wii. They were like, I'm not buying this on the Wii U, and then went right back to the Wii.
I'm not buying this. But yeah, no, I just thought that was an interesting note. And then I was like, hey, that is something that's a thing. That's something that happened in 2018. But speaking of 2018, we have, for 2019, actually, not 2018, the Video Game Hall of Fame, which is a thing that was established in 2015. Did you see the games that were getting inducted into the Video Game Hall of Fame for 2019?
Did not. I missed it.
So we have the shocking one that people are like, what? Solitaire for Microsoft Solitaire for Windows is one of the headlining games of the Hall of Fame.
Interesting.
And a little fun fact about Solitaire, of the Windows 10, 8, and mobile versions of the game, over 100 million players on those. Just those versions. That's not counting Windows 7, XP, Vista, or 95, 98. And they're getting a daily on those devices, just those three. They're getting daily 55 million people playing Solitaire every day.
I mean, people like their card games. When you're bored at work and you're on the computer, Solitaire it up.
Solitaire. Other games going in: Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. Which fun facts about that? The Mario Kart franchise in general is the best-selling racing series, I believe, which 134 million games sold.
For
And
which
on the
game?
SNES, Mario Kart,
Hmm.
the full franchise, but on the SNES version is the one that's getting inducted. 5.28 million originally on the SNES, and then if you count the ones from the SNES Classic, which they count as sales for some reason. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was 5.28 for the SNES Classic, and 8.76 million on the SNES originally. So you combine those two together, that's where their new updated number is. So that's at 13 million. Some people having Super Mario Kart in their life.
Hmm.
Uh, Mortal Kombat, the big game right now.
Yeah.
Franchise is back to form. 6 million of that particular game sold, and 40 million franchise lifetime sold. Best selling fighting game is currently Street Fighter, though, at 15.5 million, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for Switch is about to overtake it as the best selling fighting game. So that's another
Well,
fun
actually,
fact.
they had That's where I forget what it was called. We did this like 10 podcasts ago. The best fighter game was Street Fighter for what 10 years in a row. It actually
Yeah.
just lost the for their fighting game championship. It just lost it to Dragon Ball Fighters Z, or was it? I forget which one. But they overshot it and they just took the title from it. 10 years in a row to be keeping that title, and then Dragon Ball Z came and stole it.
It's crazy. And the last one going in is Colossal Cave Adventure. It's an old, what do you call that? Text adventure game, like one of those from the Commodore 64 days, where you have like the whole typing adventure thing. I know you've created a couple of them
I
yourself,
did. I have a few still I make.
and which is funny to me. One of the things I love about this game, I've never really played it, but one of my favorite games, which is Thimbleweed Park, references a successor sequel that didn't exist in the plot. The main one, in part of the main plot of Thimbleweed Park, they make reference to Colossal Cave Adventures 2.
Hmm.
And I thought that was kind of funny. It's kind of one of those like stupid, super nerdy things that like very few people are gonna pick up on unless you're like are familiar with what it is. But
Yeah.
I love that they put it in there as like a kind of little
Huh.
kind of. But what do you think? What do you think you would want to see
In the Hall of Fame.
in the Hall of Fame? I mean,
Yeah.
it might already be in there, but
Probably, because I don't remember. You know the Final Fantasy series. They have to be in there.
I don't know which one is. I imagine 7 would get the nod if it's not already. Uh,
That's the one, of anything, we get in
For-
there.
for me, I know I personally, I'd like to see. I love Maniac Mansion, so I'd love to see that. But the Day of the Tentacle would probably get it because that's the one that people are more that they talk about more. Yeah, for me, it would either be that or I'd love to see Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2.
Silent
Get
Hill.
a nice one because I think Resident Evil 2 was on the short list as well for this year. It almost made it, but they didn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I think Resident Evil 3, that one deserves it.
And it may they do 4 years, so I know last year was like Pokemon Red and Green and Blue and GTA San Andreas. It was like such a weird.
I don't think any of those games deserved it.
It was like a weird lineup, and it was super weird. But yeah, that's all I got for Video Game Hall of Fame. The only other things that I had news on Microsoft doing a new controller that was supposed to be Braille enabled.
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw it because I know Microsoft is really pushing right now for their the handicap, not the handicap audience, but the I don't know the proper word for what you call it. The what would you call that? They're not the handicap audience. The disabled gamers. Because they had that one controller that was more of that touchpad type thing
right,
where you had the.
Remember we talked about this in a couple podcasts ago now.
So now they want to make ones for like blind visual impaired gamers. That on the back of it they're supposed to be I guess the braille is supposed to like protrude from the camera. It's supposed to be like a digital braille type thing. So if they have text rather than having someone read it to them or having the screen read it to them, they could like wave, put their fingers across the back of the controller and read what's going on in braille. So Microsoft is doing amazing things as far as technology. When you look at that, you look at their other disabled gaming unit, and you look at HoloLens and other things that they've been doing. So they definitely they up their game if they can only figure out what the hell they're doing with their Xbox.
Yeah, well, next gen. We got hopes for next gen.
See, the only other things I had, I was going to get through them quick because I know we're not. I don't know how we're at with time here, so I don't want to like
We
go
got about
on
10 minutes to go.
All right, let me just run through this list here. I had stuff. Harry Potter Wizards Unite beta is going on in Australia and New Zealand right now, and was trying to look up some information on it, but a lot of people aren't spilling the beans. They're respecting their confidentiality clauses. So I was hoping to like snag some. Well, when Pokemon Go was out, in beta, people were like, "Oh, you could do this, you could do this," and it was everywhere. And
yeah, it dropped huge.
I can't find anything on Harry Potter Wizards Unite yet, but I'm going to look into it for next week and see what I can find. Snapchat now has games, like a Mario Party style type game that plays through Bitmoji. I don't know if you've played any of them. I've been playing them the last couple days.
I've seen them pop up, but I haven't.
Oh
really
my
been
god,
playing
they're
them.
so ridiculous, and it's totally a ripoff of Mario Party in every way. A lot of the games, there's one where all your Bitmojis, one person's controlling a spinning turntable and trying to knock everyone off of it. Like in that one Mario Party game where you press the lever and all the people are rolling.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's basically, it's addicting. I wanted to, so if you've, Snapchat it up, and I do want to touch upon, I am working on scoring us an interview as well. And this is the last bit of news I have, and then, you can take it away with what you can close out the show with what you got. But I have, there was a game I was playing called Spoiler Alert, which is, the developers call it a love letter to Mario. And it's basically it's like a platformer / runner, endless runner that is in reverse. So you start at the very end of the game. You literally start at the credits, and then the whole game goes backwards.
Interesting.
And yeah, I was like, this is weird. But the cool part is there's all these little things, like when you're going backwards, you have to do everything as if you were doing it forwards. So like if you would have stepped on an enemy going forward, you have to step on that enemy going backwards. Otherwise, you create a time paradox and the level resets. So that was where the little difficulty and the curve came. But it was a really cool little game. Like I didn't know what to expect from it being, I picked it up in a bundle and it was just this cheap game. And I'm like, well, this looks interesting. And so I reached out to the developers of the game, and they're interested in coming on the show and doing an interview and talking about their project and what they got up. And so we may be doing that, and if we do that, I will have a couple copies of the game to give away. So
yeah, that'll be starting up a new segment if we can keep it going. I got it all planned out. We're gonna be starting a new little thing for game review.
Ooh, that's a good. The funniest thing that you said that, because when you said that, I had a dream. It was a week or two ago that we somehow became Metacritic reviewers. Like our podcast was recognized as a Metacritic reviewer because we started randomly reviewing games, and we were doing segments where we were reviewing games via like video or via our Facebook or something. And yeah, we were Metacritic reviewers. It was in my dream. It was a game that didn't exist, by the way, in my dream. I don't remember what it was, but
eventually we'll get there.
So that's funny that you say that, and that I was like, so maybe we will become the newest Metacritic.
It's a hope for the future, something we're moving towards.
So everything sucks. All right, so you got some, you got some Apex news and some movie news.
Well, first, before I'm going to jump in, there was a leak for the PlayStation 5. Some of the specs. They just had
Yes.
the Sony meeting just happened, and
Just now.
yeah, exactly, just now. It was about 2 weeks ago, and they dropped some spoilers already came out for it. Some of the specs that they have going. So it's rumored that they're going to have an 8-core Zen 2 clocked at 3.2 gigahertz processor going for it. So that right there, that's pretty powerful. You know what's going to be the hardware that they can have following it with that.
So this is why we were talking about when we were talking about the developers of Madbox are like, yeah, we're out because everything else is just
It's hard to
just
compete with.
stepping up their game. You know, Sony's gonna. Here's the other thing too. I don't want to get too far off topic here, but I don't know if you've noticed. If you're looking for a 4K TV, now is the time to buy. Because I don't know why, but stores are clearancing them out like crazy. I was at Walmart last week. 4K TVs drop down huge. Like I don't know if they're expecting a whole wave of 8K.
Possibly, but the 8K are still way too expensive, so they won't be selling too well. But hey, maybe
I
it's
don't know,
now.
but like these 4K are going down in price, and I'm like, unless maybe they're doing the 4K with the OLED screens instead of the regular LEDs, and they're pushing those instead of the.
Possibly.
That could be it. But I was like, wow, I couldn't believe how cheap 4K TVs have gotten now. But
Yeah, now's the
I
time
just
to
wanted
buy.
to throw that out there. So if you're looking for a 4K TV, buy now.
Yeah. So back to the specs here with the custom Navi GPU. They got 1.8 gigahertz. I won't go into all the specs for all the people who are kind of don't know what they all are, but just know that it's pretty good. Their RAM is 24 gigabytes. It's a 24 gigabyte RAM.
Damn.
Yeah, so they're going pretty high up there with their specs. So it's going to be running, and it's going. They didn't say the hard drive size yet. I'm hoping it's at least like a. It's got to be like 5
It's gonna
terabyte
be
by
2.
now.
Yeah,
Two?
well, I would say very least 2, but
Two
I
at the
would.
least, but I would hope for 5 because how big, and it's a solid state drive, so things will. If you listen to our last podcast, how well the solid state's going to change things, and compare with the RAM in their core and their GPU, that kind of power they got, should be running really smooth, and it's
And
gonna be-
and as hard drives and all that, they get cheaper as time goes on. So
true as newer ones come out.
yeah, because remember back in the day when we were like, what we were at Walmart one time and we bought like a 328 gigabyte, and I was like, God, this is expensive. And then now you look at a 320, and that doesn't even store anything.
Yeah, I remember paying $100 for one of them.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
But
yeah,
so,
they're gonna, like I said, it's gonna be it's gonna be a very interesting next generation.
yeah,
Because Xbox is doing their thing, and Stadia, and I'll keep mentioning Stadia, but they're between that and where it's gonna. I'm hoping that the games are still good. That's all I care about.
as long as they keep the quality of the games up.
Yeah, because they could have a what measuring contest all day, but as long as the stuff they're putting on it is good,
Yeah.
that's what I care about. But what else we got? Because we got a couple
So-
minutes.
Yeah, we got about 2 minutes. I'm going to rush through these. Apex, I didn't have news on it. I was just stating out that 770,000 players now. Last time it was 400,000. Now it's 770,000
Yeah.
players have been banned off of PC for cheating.
I was reading that, and you know what? That's freaking insane.
Yeah. And
but
You-
honestly, what's the point of cheating in that kind of game, though?
to win.
Well, I get that, but like, I don't know.
But that's where, I don't know, I'm not feeling crossplay so much if there's going to be crossplay with a bunch of cheating people coming over. A bunch of cheaters.
That's the problem, especially when you're on PC, because it's easier to mod on PC.
Yeah,
and
and they're going
things
to be
like
bringing
that,
their
so-
cheating mods over, and I can't see crossplay going well if this is the route it's
Yeah,
going.
a lot of the games I play on PS4 and I play on PSC, wow, PC and PS.
Fusion
What happens?
Dance.
Crossplay, PSC.
But so June 7th, EA Play at E3, we will see the first true. You know what? That doesn't help. I didn't write down. We will see the first true gameplay video of what though? I didn't write in my notes what game we're gonna see.
Something that is a Star Wars related.
That's it. It's Star Wars Fallen Order.
Yes.
I figured I was right when I was writing the notes. I was looking at the game, so I thought of it, but I didn't think. Let me write down the game in my notes.
This is the clip I'm going to use for Facebook. Right there. Because now I've started a thing where I use clips from our episode and I post it. Like last week, it was the Switch tasting debacle. This week, it's going to be you forgetting your game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who that was a brilliant idea to put those notes there.
Oh, God.
Moving on to close up the podcast with just 3 quick movie things. So we already knew about Star Wars taking a break. So they stated that the next trilogy they're planning is starting up 2022. They canceled all of their other ones, all of their side movies. They want to take a big break and then bring it back 2022 because they saw.
Well, that's good, though.
Yeah, they
That's
got
good.
that huge fatigue. People aren't watching their movies. Their movies are kind of tanking. The sales are down.
There was just, I think there's too many coming out at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, not only was it the major trilogy, but they were doing all the side stories. And then it's like,
People were
You
burnt
know,
out.
especially when they weren't, from what I heard, they weren't of the quality of,
Oh, yeah.
like the original trilogy where,
Definitely not.
and of the, so that'll be good because then as well as giving time for whole new characters to come into play,
Yeah. So it'll be.
that's good.
We'll have to see where it's going, what route it's taking now. But we got 3 years to wait for that. But
So you said Avatar 2.
yeah, Avatar 2 is now set for 2021, a year sooner.
I am confused because is okay, no. New Mutants, is that a different thing?
New
Or is that part-
Mutants now keep going down the line. 2022, 2021. Now New
Okay.
Mutants.
I thought Avatar 2 was subtitled New Mutants.
No. New Mutants.
So it made
is-
sense, and then I'm reading your list. It says New Mutants now 2020 and not 2021. I'm like,
Yeah, no,
I
New
got it
Mutants is
now.
Marvel's new movie. It's actually a spin on horror movie, taking Marvel and the horror, which is weird. But they have undergone major reshootings, and it's now set for 2020. So you got the 3 movies now coming out. You have something for 2020, 2021, 2022.
that's gonna be my embarrassing clip where I talk about New Mutants being part of the Avatar universe.
Good
What
work.
happens? Happens when you don't sleep, man.
But with that, we're gonna call it a wrap.
All right.
So-
yes. Before we call it a wrap, though, remember, people, like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch. You know the tags because I said them before, and also giveaway coming up soon. Giveaway coming up soon.
We were giving away. We had on our live streams. We've been giving away indie games. I actually have a few big topic games like Far Cry. There's Far Cry 5, Far Cry New Dawn, and there's another big game, another big
Red Dead
title I
Redemption?
had.
Did you say? Was it Red Dead Redemption? In my
Red
head, it
Dead
was
Redemption's a future one, yeah, but the Red Dead will be in the release. Red Dead, I can't remember, Rainbow Six Siege. Those are 2 games
Nice,
that
nice.
are on the future list giveaway.
I'm gonna win them all. Yeah, no, I was upping mine as well. I had couple Assassin's Creed games going out. Everybody loves Assassin's Creed in my head. They all love it. But also the now fun thing is you can join us for Jackbox Party.
That's true.
on our
I'm
streams.
going to be going live. Not sure when you're free. I was thinking probably around 7 tonight, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern. I'm gonna go
Well, let's
live
do
with
it.
Jackbox Party.
because that gives me time to get a nap.
And I might give away I might do a Warhammer giveaway for the Jackbox parties.
Oh, and one final note before I know because I don't want to go over time, but Twitch, if you're a Twitch Prime member and you redeemed your extension for your Nintendo Switch Online, there was a whole thing where you had to wait 3 months to add the other 9 months. That 3 months is almost up. In about 50 days, that 3 months is up. Or it's 45 days. So it's like you were halfway there. Just wanted to give people a reminder of that. So it gives you basically another free year of Nintendo Switch Online if you redeem that. So that's all.
Neato. But with that, I'm going to take it away with their ending song.